turn your radios up. Turn your radios up. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. B-Eazy Dat Dude, an impromptu stream, back with another one. Look, I'm not gonna be here for a long time, but it will be a strong time. So I'm not gonna keep y'all waiting. We gonna get right into this thing. So give me one moment, because before we get this thing started, you know, I gotta hit you.
If you know the song, sing along. Yeah, you're right.
私も地元民。と言っても、さすがにです。もう友達できたの？うん。ぶっとこっち見ろ。
Look, this promethazine got me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep. I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks is showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Told them like juvenile, baby, move it for me slow mo. Then I'm right back to the block, cause I keep getting moto. I be flipping, not shrinking. I don't give a fuck about no This nigga name ain't D-Lo, but pimpin' these bitches and stacking this bread forever be my stilo. This is B-Eazy Dat Dude in the trap making pass smooth. If I ever go broke, then I'm about to pull a jack move. Since a nigga healthy, I don't even gotta worry. With my bitch from Fiji eating tandoori and chicken curry, that ism is really in me. My pimp game international, I design my own clothes, so I be always looking fashionable. Here's a couple facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dawg. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of bad.
Okay, and we are activated. It look like they coming in early. We've already been joined by some illustrious guests. None other than the hardest working mod on YouTube, Vibrant Low, in building. Shyrock King always coming through, super supportive in building. Ashura, shout out to the Haitian who happens to be in Canada. So shout out to the Canadian Haitian brethren in the building, and none other than the illest and the realest Israelite walking on 2 feet, Travion Phillips in the building. So let's just get right into this thing. Unless you've been under a rock, Trump has ordered the capturing of Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro. I'm going to be breaking down an interview with Marco Rubio, who is part of the maniacal MAGA cult, and he's going to be trying to justify why this is supposed to be a great thing for America's interest. So we're going to break this down. Like I said, I won't be here for a long time, but it will be a strong time. Let's get right into the video. Let me know if y'all have any issues hearing this thing, and we gon' commence.
Thank you so much for being here. I want to start with this big picture question. Is the United States now at war with Venezuela?
There's not a war. I mean, we are at war against drug trafficking organizations. It's not a war against Venezuela. We are enforcing American laws with regards to oil sanctions. We have sanctioned entities. We go to court, we get a warrant, we seize those boats with oil, and that will continue. We would continue to reserve the right to take strikes against drug boats that are bringing drugs towards the United States that are being operated by transnational criminal organizations, including the Cartel de los Sols. Of course, the leader of that cartel is now in U.S. custody and facing U.S. justice in the Southern District of New York, and that's Nicolas Maduro. So we made a big progress in that regard.
Mr. Secretary, who is in charge? Are you running Venezuela? Right now?
Yeah, I mean, I keep people, fixating on that. Here's the bottom.
What took him so long to answer? She asked a simple question. Who is running Venezuela? And he's saying, yeah, well, I'll keep getting that question. If you keep getting that question, it should be much easier for you to answer. Who is running Venezuela right now?
U.S. Justice in the Southern District of New York, and that's Nicolas Maduro. So we made a big progress in that regard.
Mr. Secretary, who is in charge? Are you running Venezuela right now?
Yeah, I mean, I keep people, fixating on that. Here's the bottom line on it is we expect to see changes.
So it looks like we've been joined by some more prestigious guests. And before, this dude keeps saying people are fixated on it right now. You kidnapped their president and his wife. And then you're saying, well, people are fixated on who's running Venezuela. Yeah, you did it was a military coup, but they want to try to make it a soft military coup because no Americans got hurt. So that was an illegal capturing. But let me give a shout out to none other than the Queen, Sincere, in building, mulatto rights activist. Mulatto that, if I'm not mistaken, I think you switched your name. It was Pan Mulattoism. Now it's mulatto rights activist. Shout out to the mulattoes. And if you find the term mulatto offensive, take it up with the mulatto rights activists in building. And shout out to my Florida fam. Florida, stand up. Sunlight, what it did do in building. Let's commence.
Venezuela. Changes of all kinds, long-term, short-term. We'd love to see all kinds of changes, but the most immediate changes are the ones that are in the national interest of the United States. That's why we're involved here, because of how it applies and has a direct impact on the United States. Okay, we are not going to be able to allow in our hemisphere a country that becomes a crossroads for the activities of all of our adversaries around the world.
Yeah, and this is why this dude is playing these games. Trump already said with his full chest that the U.S. is going to run Venezuela. So when she asks him, he pauses and he tries to obfuscate and say, man, I keep getting peppered with this question. Yeah, why wouldn't you? You kidnapped their president. You have an American president saying that they're going to be running. He said the U.S. will run Venezuela, but who in the U.S.? What State Department? What specific person or governing body is going to run Venezuela? So she's asking the Secretary of State. He should know this. He should be able to give a clear and coherent answer. Instead, he's tap dancing and babbling incoherently. Let me rewind it back and we will commence.
United States. That's why we're involved here, because of how it applies and has a direct impact on the United States. Okay, we are not going to be able to allow in our hemisphere a country that becomes a crossroads for the activities of all of our adversaries around the world. We just can't allow it. We can't have a country where the people in charge of its military and in charge of its police department are openly cooperating with drug trafficking organizations. We're not going to allow that. These things are direct threats.
So once again, here are the lies and the incoherent babble. So he's making this seem like this is all about drugs. But what about the Sackler family? What about the drug dealers and drug traffickers in America who are getting people hopped up on opioids and legal drugs? Most of the drugs that are abused are legally prescribed drugs that people are selling on the black market. That's drug trafficking. They use violence, they use manipulation, persuasion, oppressive means and efforts to keep people drugged up. But somehow they want to make you think that Venezuela is just the drug capital of the world. There's more drugs coming in from Mexico. Why didn't he go over there and kidnap the Jewish Mexican president? There's more drugs coming in from Colombia. Why isn't he in Bogota right now? Have you heard about a Colombian cartel or a Venezuelan cartel? Which one has a reputation that precedes them to be more violent and destructive? I think off the top, many would say the Colombian cartel. But why aren't we invading Colombia? Why are we not kidnapping the Colombian president? Fair questions to ask that will receive no answers.
To the United States. And we intend to use every element of leverage that we have to ensure that that changes. The one I would point everyone to is that our military is helping the Coast Guard conduct the law enforcement function, which is not just the capture of Maduro, but the enforcement of our sanctions. We go to court, we get a warrant, we seize the boats. And we think this is tremendous leverage, incredible, crippling leverage, which we intend to continue to use until we see the changes that we need to see that are benefit to the American people. And by the way, we believe to the people of Venezuela as well.
But Mr. Secretary.
So Ashura says Trump is dead on honest with the U.S. imperialism, unlike the Republicans and Democrats who give you lazy excuses. That's why even though people don't like Trump, they respect him more because he is willing to say it with his full chest. Now, the corporate elites and the oligarchs, they don't like that he's saying the quiet part out loud. But I prefer this, right? Would you prefer somebody talk smack to your face or wait till you leave the room and talk smack behind your back? So Trump is saying, yes, the U.S. will run it. Yes, we want the oil and other resources as well. He's trying to tap dance around it and frame it in a way that's favorable for the narrative he wants to push. But yeah, I prefer Trump's brand of authoritarianism versus Democrats support the same thing. They just try to do it in a more politely packaged way. But both parties are the same. Two wings on the same bird, two cheeks on the same booty.
I think there's a lot of questions about who.
We get a warrant, we seize the boats. And we think this is tremendous leverage, incredible, crippling leverage, which we intend to continue to use until we see the changes that we need to see that are benefit to the American people. And by the way, we believe to the people of Venezuela as well.
But Mr. Secretary, I think there's a lot of questions about who the point people are during this transition. President Trump said, we're going to run the country. So is it you? Is it Secretary Hegseth? Who are those people who will be running the country specifically?
Well, it's not running.
And it looks like we've been joined by a lot of trolls in the chat. And normally I don't feed the trolls, but if you're going to be leaving some comments, have some level of decorum and intellect. So this person says, Pam Gatir, whatever your name is, why are you for a dictator Maduro? When did I say that I was for Maduro? So why are you for a dictator Maduro? And how is he any less of a dictator than what Trump is doing? Could you explain that? So why are you for a dictator? Wasn't the illegitimate president the people? Are you saying that he wasn't the legitimate president? I mean, you're kind of writing all over the place. Anyways, the people are happy he's gone. How do you know that the people are happy? Because there were some right-wing nut jobs that were sharing videos saying, oh, look at the Venezuelans cheering. And then they look there like, man, those videos are from multiple years ago. This isn't a current celebration. And Venezuela is a country of millions of people. So if they show me an alleged video of hundreds of people celebrating, suddenly that means millions of Venezuelans are happy. Even if the Venezuelans were happy, how does this help you? How is this America first? Then it says, why do Democrats fight for foreigners, not Americans? I don't agree with that, but both parties do that. Republicans fight for foreigners as well. So you see Greg Abbott in Texas. He's fighting for specifically foreign Indians. Greg Abbott isn't a Democrat. When Greg Abbott was busing immigrants to New York and Chicago, that wasn't fighting for the American people. That didn't help the border crisis. He just spread the border crisis to somebody else. So both parties are fighting for foreigners. You have Vivek Ramaswamy, right? He's a Republican. He's fighting for H-1B visas, calling Americans lazy. So both parties are the same. So, I mean, have a little bit more intellect with your comments next. How is Trump a dictator? Are you kidding me? If U.S. kidnaps the Mexican president, they'd be anti-Semitic, but they don't care since there are Nazis on both sides, Republican and Democrat. I would concur.
Concerning policy, the policy with regards to this, we want Venezuela to move in a certain direction because not only do we think it's good for the people of Venezuela, it's in our national interest. It either touches.
So he says, we want Venezuela to move in a certain direction, but there's many places that want the U.S. to move in a certain direction. Should we bow down and bend the knee to those countries that want us to move in a certain direction? Or remember, Trump said, we're not the world's police, even though we are. He's saying everything else with his full chest. Why won't he say that we're the world's police and dictator then? But instead, they pretend like, no, we're not trying to police the world. We're not trying to be a dictator, but we are dictating policy to other people. Does that make any sense to you?
Touches on something that's a threat to our national security or touches on something.
The country. So is it you? Is it Secretary Hegseth? Who are those people who will be running the country specifically?
Yeah, I can't even hold you. Trump is over there on the Debo. Cue the Debo theme music because bro is coming through, you know, smacking people up, flipping people down. This is what Trump does. This is how you wield this is how you wield power. And I'm not saying I agree with it, but, you know, he's in a position of power and he's exercising that authority to the fullest extent.
Oh, it's not running. It's running policy. The policy with regards to this, we want Venezuela to move in a certain direction because not only do we think it's good for the people of Venezuela, it's in our national interest. It either touches on something that's a threat to our national.
So here we have again someone saying Venezuelans are so over the moon about this. OK, could you prove that? Because the videos from the half Jewish bigoted Nick Shirley and the other people, those videos have been debunked. They've said that those videos were altered videos and videos from a long time ago or from a different celebration. And then the right-wing MAGA maniacs cobble the videos together and say, look, Venezuelans are happy because of this. And not only that, there were some people that were happy when there was a 9/11 attack. There would be some people happy if Trump or Pence or Marco Rubio, there would be many foreign nations that would be happy if they were hypothetically assassinated. Would that make it right? Would that make it a democratic thing? Because, hey, somebody took a shot at Trump and people were happy at it. People did try to assassinate Trump, right? Various white men tried to assassinate Trump and many people were happy with it. So should the American people be cheering that on and egging that on because a segment of the population was allegedly happy? What are you really saying?
Security or touches on something that's either beneficial or harmful.
And are you involved in that transition,
so obviously
Secretary?
I'm very involved in this. Well, of course. I mean, I think everyone knows I'm pretty involved on politics in this hemisphere. Obviously, the Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, very involved in all these elements. The Department of War plays a very important role here, along with the Department of Justice, for example, because they're the ones that have to go to court. So this is a team effort by the entire national security apparatus of our country, but it is running this policy. And the goal of the policy is to see changes in Venezuela that are beneficial to the United States, first and foremost, because that's who we work for, but also, we believe, beneficial for the people of Venezuela who have suffered tremendously. We want to.
Okay, so how is this beneficial for America? Because they want to try to bring it back to the drugs. But Colombia, Mexico, Honduras, all of these places have more robust drug trade coming into America. So are we going to invade them? Also, like the Black Authority was saying, the crown jewel is really Cuba. Marco Rubio is salivating over being able to invade Cuba so we can go and liberate the people. And that's somehow supposed to be America first. Now they're egging on to go bomb Iran on behalf of Israel and saying that it's in America's interest. And many people are buying it, but they can't give a coherent answer how this helps you. Is this going to lower gas costs? Is this going to suddenly provide health care for you? at an affordable rate? Is this going to lower insurance rates, mortgage rates, property tax? How is this helping you? It's supposed to be a feel-good story. How? What do you feel good about this? We're cleaning up drugs off the street. Well, they keep saying that our biggest drug issue is fentanyl. Fentanyl is not coming from Venezuela. It's allegedly coming from China. Are they going to go bomb China or try to kidnap Xi Jinping?
A better future for Venezuela. And we think a better future for the people of Venezuela also is stabilizing for the region and makes the neighborhood we live in.
Look, selling your home isn't just about the numbers. It's about emotion. When buyers fall in love with you,
a much better and safer place.
President Trump said the administration is working with Maduro's Vice President, Delcy Rodriguez. Why does the administration oppose working with the opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado? She's the Nobel Peace Prize winner, of course, as well. Her coalition has the support of 70% of Venezuelans. Why not work with her?
Well, a couple things. First of all, Maria Corina Machado is fantastic, and she's someone I've known for a very long time, and that whole movement is. But we are dealing with the immediate reality. The immediate reality.
Okay, so this person says fentanyl is coming from Canada. We got a Canadian in the chat as well. Ashura, do you guys have a lot of fentanyl in Canada? And let's just say it is coming from Canada. Are we going to invade Canada? Are we going to kidnap the Canadian president since you allege fentanyl is coming from there? How about we invade Canada and China since this is about drugs, right? And Travion says Trump is about to run through pockets country to country. Yeah, I mean, he coming through like Debo on the blog, letting y'all know what it is. It's called U.S. imperialism. It's called the Monroe Doctrine. And Ashura, who's in Canada, he said that's BS. He says that you're full of it, saying that the fentanyl is coming from Canada. I don't know. He says we cook it here in the mountains of British Columbia. Who is we? Are you a chef? You over there cooking up fentanyl? Yeah, sure. It says there's no fentanyl. And then we got somebody named Warren saying he's in Canada cooking up fentanyl. So, Warren, should we invade Canada? Should we kidnap the Canadian president and we should run Canada, right? Technically, we already do. But yeah, maybe we should. It's unofficial. Maybe we should make it official and we come and run Canada. And then we lock you up too, since you like to cook fentanyl. And we're a nation of laws, right?
Is that unfortunately and sadly, but unfortunately, the vast majority of the opposition is no longer present inside of Venezuela. We have short-term things that have to be addressed right away. We all wish to see a bright future for Venezuela, a transition to democracy. All of these things are great, and we all want to see that. I've worked on that for 15 years on a personal level, both in the Senate and now as National Security Advisor and Secretary of State. These are things I still care about. We still care about. But what we're talking about is what happens over the next 2-3 weeks, 2-3 months. And how that ties to the national interest of the United States. And so we expect to see more compliance and cooperation than we were previously receiving. With Nicolas Maduro, you could not make a deal or
He keeps talking about the national interests of the United States, yet he hasn't laid out what those interests are. And the interest to help who? More billionaire oligarchs, more plutocrats. That's who this is helping. How does this help you? Anyone in the chat, please explain to me in a clear, coherent manner, how does this help you, right? Because people are trying to make it seem like they're so ecstatic that we're getting drugs off this hemisphere, even though there's much more drug-infested areas that are dumping drugs all over the hemisphere and into the country, right? So how has this helped you personally? I would love to hear it.
Arrangement. Although he, by the way, was given very generous offers. He could have left Venezuela as recently as, a week and a half ago. There were opportunities available for him to avoid all of this because now he's not someone we can work with. He suckered the Biden administration into stupid deals. He's made a career out of not keeping deals and figuring out how to save himself by buying time. And President Trump was not going to fall into that trap. So now there are other people
And see, this is where the BS, right? They talk about Trump said that the cartels are running Mexico. Okay. So the cartels have a propensity and a history of violence and barbarism, right? They have a history of human trafficking and drug trafficking. Those are our neighbors. So your neighbor is human trafficking. Your neighbor is drug trafficking. Your neighbor is doing all sorts of violent, atrocious, and egregious acts. Yet you don't want to invade the neighbor. Yet you don't want to go clean up what Trump would call a hellhole or a shithole that's right next door to you. But we're looking to Iran. We're looking to Venezuela. We're looking to everywhere else but our neighbor. But I thought this was about drugs and cleaning up the streets and cleaning up the Western Hemisphere and making sure that the Americas are great again. Sounds like a load of you know what.
In charge of the military and police apparatus. He could have left Venezuela as recently as, a week and a half ago. There were opportunities available for him to avoid all of this because now he's not someone we can work with. He suckered the Biden administration into stupid deals. He's made a career out of not keeping deals and figuring out how to save himself by buying time. And President Trump was not going to fall into that trap. So now there are other people in charge of the military and police apparatus there. They're going to have to decide now what direction they want to go. And we hope they will choose a different direction than the one Nicolas Maduro picked. Ultimately, we hope this leads to a holistic transition all the way around in Venezuela, societal, political, all of that. We're in favor of all of that. But right now, we have to take.
Here we go with the vague, empty babble. He hopes this lead into a transition of what? A transition with who? Right? He's not talking about who should be in positions of power because they believe that the U.S. should run this. So when he says transitioning into what? Transitioning into U.S. running Venezuela? And what does that look like? He's just able to just speak vaguely and not give any details. It's because, dude, we took out a drug dealer, bro. Okay, cool. So now what's the plan going forward? He has nothing cogent to say about that.
The first steps, and the first steps are securing what's in the national interest of the United States and also beneficial to the people of Venezuela. And those are the things that we're focused on right now.
I'm going to rewind it back, but here he goes again, talking about the interests of Venezuela, which he hasn't said how this benefits them, and the national interests of America. He's yet to say how this benefits us. And I'm waiting for anyone in the chat to tell me, how did this benefit you in any way?
In charge of the military and police apparatus there, they're going to have to decide now what direction they want to go. And we hope they will choose a different direction than the one Nicolas Maduro picked. Ultimately, we hope this leads to a holistic transition all the way around in Venezuela, societal, political, all of that. We're in favor of all of that. But right now, we have to take the first steps. And the first steps are securing what's in the national interest of the United States and also beneficial to the people of Venezuela. And those are the things that we're focused on right now. No more drug trafficking, no more Iran, Hezbollah presence there, and no more using the oil industry to enrich all our adversaries around the world and not benefiting the people of Venezuela or, frankly, benefiting the United States and the region.
You talk about a holistic transition. I think there's a lot of focus on potential elections. How soon will elections be held? Within 30 days, Mr. Secretary?
Running breaks your joints. Tai Chi builds them back. After 50
elections? Well, look, this is a country that's been governed by this regime now for 14 or 15 years. The elections should have happened a long time ago. The elections did happen. They lost them and they didn't count the votes, or they refused to count the votes, and everyone knows it. So all of that, I think, is.
Why is a Venezuelan election any of our concern? Right? Let them elect whoever they want to elect. He claims that, no, we're over here because they didn't have a free and fair election. Do we have free and fair elections here? Are both parties not complaining about voter suppression, political gerrymandering, right? Does that seem fair to you? Wasn't Trump whining about the elections being rigged, about the voter machines being rigged? So we allegedly don't have free and fair elections here, but we're worried about another country, an alleged sovereign nation, about dictating and policing their election results. Apparently, according to Trump and many of his other MAGA maniacs, we can't even get our elections together here. They're blaming China. They're blaming Russian bots. They're blaming everyone. They're blaming DEI and wokeness, right? So, according to Trump and his admin, our elections here are not even free and fair. So, shouldn't we clean up our election process here instead of going to another sovereign nation and dictating how their election should run? Just a thought.
Premature at this point. There's a lot of work to be done here. Right now, what we are focused in, elections? Well, look, this is a country that's been governed by this regime now for 14 or 15 years. The elections should have happened a long time ago. The elections did happen. They lost them and they didn't count the votes, or they refused to count the votes, and everyone knows it. So all of that, I think, is premature at this point. There's a lot of work to be done here. Right now, what we are focused in, let's be realistic here. What we are focused on right now is all of the problems we had with when Maduro was there. We still have those problems in terms of them needing to be addressed. We are going to give people an opportunity to address those challenges and those problems. Until they address it, they will continue to face this oil quarantine. They will continue to face pressure from the United States. We will continue to target drug boats if they try to run towards the United States. We will continue to seize the boats that are sanctioned with court orders. We will continue to do that, and potentially other things, until the things we need to see addressed are addressed. Because ultimately, above everything else, we care about elections, we care about democracy, we care about all of that. But the number one thing we care about is the safety, security, well-being, and prosperity of the United States. And that's what we're going to focus.
Okay, so how does this keep us safe? Him kidnapping Maduro and his wife, taking them to New York. Can anyone lay out how this keeps us safe? People will want to bring up the drugs, and I'll bring up Mexico, who's bringing in more drugs, more cartel members. They got coyotes terrorizing people, right? That they can make a legitimate argument about they invaded Mexico and helped decimate the cartels, right? I can understand how that would make America safe. How does kidnapping Maduro and his wife make America safe? It went from make America great again to make America safe again. And they can't tell you what they did to make America great. And they can't tell you what they did to make America safe. This is utterly pathetic.
Focus on first and foremost here. And that's what these policies, these changes we need to see made are about.
Okay, significant there. You say you will continue to seize boats when necessary. I want to ask you about boots on the ground. A lot of attention on that. The president was asked about the possibility of U.S. boots on the ground.
So he says they'll continue to seize boats when necessary. Right now, the cartel is running amok in Mexico. Wouldn't it be necessary for us to put troops on the ground? But he's saying that we're going to seize boats until necessary. But who determines if that's necessary? Trump, Marco Rubio, they're always complaining about drugs, right? Wouldn't it be necessary to go over there and get those cartel members up out of there? Instead, they're letting them operate, basically unchallenged. They're giving lip service to the cartel. They didn't give lip service to Maduro. They put a bounty on Maduro, allegedly between 25 to 50 million if he was captured. Where is the bounty on any of the cartel leaders?
He said, quote, "We're not afraid of it." How many U.S. forces are on the ground right now in Venezuela? Are there any?
We don't have U.S. forces on the ground in Venezuela. No, we don't have U.S. forces on the ground. Everyone knows. They were on the ground for about 2 hours when they went to capture Maduro. And I think what the president is saying is very simple, and that is, as president of the United States, he is not going to go around telling people what he's not going to do. He's not going to go around saying, I won't do this, I won't do that. Yes, I care about this issue, but I'll only go so far. He retains all this optionality. In the particular case you're citing, this was, in essence, at its core, a law enforcement function. Okay, the Department of Justice, dating back in the Biden administration, that had a $25 million reward for his capture. So we have a reward for his capture, but we're not going to enforce it. That's the difference between President Trump and everybody else. It's easy to make a wanted poster and say $50 million for the capture of Maduro, but no one takes that seriously because you're not going to do anything about it. President Trump did something about it.
Where is the wanted poster for the Colombian cartel members? Where is the wanted poster for the Mexican cartel members? He's saying that nobody takes these wanted posters seriously. So why should anyone take y'all seriously complaining about human trafficking from Mexico, and Mexico is our neighbor, but you won't do anything to Mexico, but you will do something to Venezuela and make it seem that like, we're just helping America stay safe, but they can't explain to you how this keeps us safer. Mexican cartels will still be running amok. They still will be running Mexico. Drugs will still be flooding in. And hey, we're just supposed to click our heels together and be happy that they kidnapped Maduro. There's a lot of other presidents that need kidnapping. Why won't they kidnap Bibi Netanyahu? Bibi Netanyahu is presiding over a unequivocal genocide, right? He's over there committing murder and mayhem. Why won't we kidnap Bibi Satan Yahoo? Now I'm being facetious and rhetorical with those questions, but that would keep America safe again, right? We won't have to send all these money and munitions to Israel. We won't be in these forever wars. That's what would really keep us safe, is kidnapping and trying Bibi Netanyahu for war crimes. That's what keep us safe. Who would keep us more safer? Kidnapping Maduro, kidnapping Netanyahu. So you have to ask yourself, why did we choose to kidnap Maduro? And Netanyahu is just, they roll out the red carpet when he comes over. Like Trump is like Debo, but Bibi Netanyahu is like Debo to Trump's Debo. When Bibi Netanyahu comes over, Trump bends the knee and he actually bends over and spreads his cheek. So who's really running America, Trump or Bibi?
Let me ask
you. He did something about it. We went in, we grabbed him, he was arrested, and he's now in New York. No Americans were killed, no equipment was lost. It had to be done, and it's been done. And I assure you, the people left behind in Venezuela now that are in charge of the police and everything else, I assure you, they're going to probably be a lot more compliant than Maduro was as a result of this.
Well, President Trump told the New York Post there won't be troops in Venezuela as long as Delcy Rodriguez, quote, does what we want. She's already, though, demanding the release of Nicolas Maduro. As you know, she's insisting.
Yeah, Trump could whoop Bibi, but will he whoop Bibi? That's the thing. Trump has already bent the knee to Bibi. Bibi needs Trump more than Trump needs him. Trump doesn't need Bibi at all. However, he was put into power by Zionist money, like i.e. Miriam Adelson, who I think gave him like 100+ million. Elon Musk gave him like 200+ million. So yes, Trump could stand up to Bibi Netanyahu, but that's highly unlikely.
Her country never become a colony. What exactly does Rodriguez need to do to keep U.S. troops out of Venezuela?
The world's first titanium nonstick pan. It's going to blow your hair back. I'm Mike Pagale.
Well, forget about the U.S. troops portion of it. What needs to happen for any of this to change, for our relations with Venezuela to change and our whole approach to it to change, the things we have talked about are the ones I've highlighted already. You can't flood this country with gang members. You can't flood this country with drugs that are coming out of Colombia through.
So shout out to Deborah. She says Trump is the stupidest president there has ever been. I don't know if he is the stupidest, but he's right up there. Bush was pretty stupid, but he is the most gangster president. That is irrefutable.
Venezuela with the cooperation of elements of your security forces. You can't turn Venezuela into the operating hub for Iran, for Russia, for Hezbollah, for China, for the Cuban intelligence agents that control that country. That cannot continue. Those things cannot continue to be in place. You cannot continue to have the largest oil reserves, in the world under the control of adversaries of the United States, not benefiting the people of Venezuela and stolen by a handful of oligarchs around the world, including inside of Venezuela, but not benefiting the people of that country. We've seen how our adversaries all over the world are exploiting and extracting resources from Africa, from every other country. They're not going to do it in the Western Hemisphere. Yeah. They are not. That is not going to happen under President Trump. Read our national security strategy. He is serious about it, and he's going to do something about it, and we're doing something about it.
Let me ask you about oil. The president says the U.S. is taking over the oil. The question is, I guess, if the purpose of the operation was to capture Maduro and bring him to justice, Why does the United States need to take over the Venezuelan oil industry?
Well, we don't need to. First of all, let me go back up. We don't need Venezuela's oil. We have plenty of oil in the United States. What we're not going to allow is for the oil industry in Venezuela to be.
So here we go again with the lie after lie. So we don't need Venezuela oil, but Trump is on record yesterday saying with his full chest that we want Venezuela's oil, that they have oil over there, but they don't know how to get the oil out fast enough. This is what Trump is saying. And here you got Marco, the stooge Rubio, saying that, no, we don't need their oil. And then Trump in the very next breath is saying, yeah, we over there. We gonna take over that oil. So this dude is just lying.
Resources from Africa, from every other continent. They're not going to do it in the Western Hemisphere. Yeah. They're not. That is not going to happen under President Trump. Read our national security strategy. He is serious about it.
So this person says they don't know how to process it. Well, they've been processing it. According to Trump, they do know how to process it. They're just not processing it fast enough at the rate and at the volume that he wants. So this isn't about them not knowing how to process it. And also, if someone doesn't know how to process something, wouldn't it be a way here? Let us help you process this, so you guys can have a more efficient delivery of the product. Instead, well, you guys don't know how to process it, so we're going to take it over and run this, right? Imagine somebody looks at your car like, man, you got a Hellcat. You don't know how to drive this thing. I'm going to take over this car and drive it. I'm going to show you how to swing this thing. I'm going to show you how to make this thing do what it do. You really don't know how to drive your car, so let me take this Lamborghini over and I'll show you how to drive the car because you don't know what you're doing. That's essentially what you're advocating for with the oil. They do know what they're doing. Are they as efficient as the U.S.? No. I mean, this is a superpower, the greatest nation ever constructed, right? So that's not a fair comparison, but that's also not a justification for you to go into a sovereign nation and take over their oil because you perceive them not being able to produce it fast enough at the volume that you want.
And he's going to do something about it, and we're doing something about it. Oligarchs around the world, including inside of Venezuela, but not benefiting the people of that country. We've seen how our adversaries all over the world are exploiting and extracting
Hey, yeah, for some reason, Trump don't want that smoke with Putin or Bibi Netanyahu. He's literally groveling and bending the knee to Bibi Netanyahu. Also, what's the dude in North Korea? Is that Kim Jong-un? They don't want no smoke with Kim Jong. Kim Jong, he ready to fire at any moment.
Resources from Africa, from every other continent. They're not going to do it in the Western Hemisphere. Yeah. They're not. That is not going to happen under President Trump. Read our national security strategy. He is serious about it, and he's going to do something about it, and we're doing something about it.
Let me ask you about oil. The president says the U.S. is taking over the oil. The question is, I guess, if the purpose of the operation was to capture Maduro and bring him to justice, why does the United States need to take over the Venezuelan oil industry?
Well, we don't need to. First of all, let me go back up. We don't need Venezuela's oil. We have plenty of oil in the United States. What we're not going to allow is for the oil industry in Venezuela to be controlled by adversaries of the United States. You have to understand, why does China need their oil? Why does Russia need their oil? Why does Iran need their oil? They're not even in this continent. This is the Western Hemisphere. This is where we live. And we're not going to allow the Western Hemisphere to be a base of operation for adversaries, competitors, and rivals of the United States.
Have specific oil companies?
We also want to see that oil and the proceeds from it. Hold on. We want to see the oil proceeds of that country benefit the people of Venezuela. Why have 8 million people left Venezuela? 8 million, the single largest mass migration probably in modern history, left Venezuela since 2014 because all.
And shout out to Brooklyn. Brooklyn Luciano says, I've been saying it on all these news channels, social media. It's never had anything to do with drugs or cartels. It was all about the oil, the gold reserves, and the thousands of other resources. Yeah, this is what this is all about. Because like I said, we laid out, there's over 10 other countries that are responsible for smuggling drugs into the country or that are notorious for having drug trafficking in their country. We're not doing anything to mitigate that. We're not doing anything to eradicate that. But all those other places, they don't have the robust amounts of resources that Venezuela has. So this is not by chance. This is not coincidence. This is a cold, hard strategy.
The wealth of that country was stolen to the benefit of Maduro and his cronies in the regime, but not to the benefit of people of Venezuela. You know how destabilizing 8 million migrants is? The number one fear that Brazil has, that Colombia has, that all these countries in the region have about what's happening in Venezuela and our involvement is they're afraid of another mass migration event. That's what they fear. This is deeply destabilizing stuff. It's not going to continue to happen. They are not going.
So here this dude is babbling, saying that people are afraid of a massive migration, but they continuously go to countries to stabilize them, do military coups, regime change, and then they start complaining when these same people flee from a failed state. You help destabilize and disenfranchise their country with the help and complicity of sellouts in their own country. And then when they flee, seeking a better life, seeking the American dream, which you guys always promote, mainly promoted to immigrants. So people are immigrating here, right? Even though the Statue of Liberty was for formerly enslaved people, right? They're pushing that message. Give us your sick, you're tired, you're poor. So then when the sick, tired, and poor from other countries come, you're like, we meant a different type of immigrant with a different type of complexion. You know what I mean? And they like to whine about open borders, but both parties support open borders. They use it as a political football. If they didn't support it, why haven't they done anything about it? We're supposed to be the greatest nation, right? We can figure out how to get to space. We can figure out how to make nuclear energy, but we can't figure out how to shore up the border crisis, to not have illegal immigrants flooding into the country. No, this is what they want. They specifically want many immigrants that are from desperate, underdeveloped countries so that they can have another indentured servant labor class, but also immigrants due to birthright citizenship, which Trump is trying to abolish, right? Many of them are more incentivized than Americans to have a kid. If you come over here as an undocumented immigrant, I mean, your first order of business is to drop as many kids as you possibly can, because those kids ensure your right to stay, or at least your right to make a claim to stay. Because if an immigrant has 3 kids, people, we don't want to separate families. So even if this person is an immigrant, they can stay, right? You destabilizing countries is not going to help mitigate that. It's going to exacerbate that. More people are going to want to come, and they're going to want to drop more babies so that they have those American citizens. Some would call them anchor babies.
To come from outside of our hemisphere, destabilize our region in our own backyard, and us have to pay the price for it. Not under President Trump.
Let's talk big picture here. U.S. regime change, historically speaking, has not gone very well for the United States. In Iraq, in Libya, to name a few examples. Can you assure Americans, the people of the United States, that this time will be different?
I love my toolbox. As you can see, I've given it a lot of love. So when drawing digitally, you need to use.
Well, here's what's happened. We've got this phobia built up and this sort of thing that's it's like, number one, most of the experts that people have on television, I watch these experts and it's clown hour. Okay, these are people that have focused their entire career on the Middle East or some other part of the world because that's where all the action was. Very few of them know anything about Venezuela or the Western Hemisphere. Venezuela looks nothing like Libya. It looks nothing like Iraq. It looks nothing like Afghanistan. It looks nothing like the Middle East other than the Iranian agents that are running through there plotting against America. Okay, these are Western countries with long traditions among their at a people to people and cultural level and ties to the United States. So there's nothing like that. So I think people need to stop ascribing the apples and oranges here, the apples of the Middle East to the oranges of the Western Hemisphere.
But do you?
Number two, this is about the national interest of the United States. And what I'm confident of is we are in a safer and better place because we're taking it seriously. The alternative would have been to leave Maduro there as an indicted drug trafficker, illegitimate president, running the country, open invitation for all of our adversaries to do whatever they want against the.
Yes, you should have left Maduro there. If he's an illegitimate president, let the Venezuelan people handle it. They're a sovereign nation, right? So if they want to be run by an illegitimate president, let them do what they want to do. How is Trump not an illegitimate president? We're a nation of laws, right? Isn't that what they like to say? So wasn't Trump caught up in a bunch of legal trouble? Hasn't he been indicted on how many felony accounts? So some would say that's illegitimate. Just flip it. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but if Obama had that many indictments, would people call him a legitimate president? They were already saying that his citizenship is illegitimate with the whole birth certificate gate, right?
United States from Venezuela, that was not going to continue. What interest of the United States. And what I'm confident of is we are in a safer and better place because we're taking it seriously. The alternative would have been to leave Maduro there as an indicted drug trafficker, illegitimate president, running the country, open invitation for all of our adversaries to do whatever they want against the United States from Venezuela. That was not going to continue. What the alternative would have been to allow a drug trafficker to continue to use national territory and elements of nation state power to further drug trafficking organizations. Read the indictment. This guy used the levers of their security apparatus not to arrest drug traffickers, but to cooperate and facilitate the trafficking of drugs for the purpose of getting them into the United States. And that's going to stop.
And yet, Mr. Secretary, a month ago, President Trump pardoned the former.
I mean, the way it's looking, they might send Jared Kushner to run the show. Who knows?
President of Honduras, who was just starting a 45-year sentence for trafficking more than 500 tons of cocaine. Does that not undercut the administration's stated goal, as you just said, to go after these narco-terrorists?
So she asked a good question right there, right? Trump pardoned a Honduran drug lord who was sentenced to 45 years, right? He should have been sent for more, should have been sent for life, right? Known for trafficking, smuggling over 500 tons. I didn't say ounces. I didn't say pounds. I said tons. Over 500 tons, was sentenced to 45 years. And here Trump says, hey, we're besties. We're BFFs. You know what I mean? You won't have to serve that time. That is the person who they should have been throwing the book at. Not Nicolas Maduro. Let the Venezuelans handle Nicolas Maduro. Instead, Trump has a proclivity for pardoning people known for criminal acts, just as long as he can get something out of it. But I thought we were a nation of laws. Why would the MAGA Maniacs stand for an illegitimate president pardoning someone who's known to have smuggled over 500 tons of cocaine? Right? Do we care about drugs? Do we care about the war on drugs or not? Seems to be a crock of you know what.
To stop.
And yet, Mr. Secretary, a month ago, President Trump pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was just starting a 45-year sentence for trafficking more than 500 tons of cocaine. Does that not undercut the administration's stated goal, as you just said, to go after these narco-terrorists?
Number one, the former president of Honduras. So this is not someone who was in power, had any influence with the politics of Honduras any longer. Number two, I don't do the pardon file. I'm not against it or for it. I just didn't review the file. So I can't speak to you about the dynamics that led the president to make the decision that he made. I think he talked about it yesterday at the press conference. He reviewed the file. He went through the arguments in it, and he felt that the former president of Honduras was treated very unfairly by the previous administration and made the decision that he made. But I think the answer, whether you agree with that decision or not, people can disagree. I mean, there's people out there who make a living out of disagreeing with anything President Trump does. That doesn't mean you leave Maduro in place. That doesn't mean you don't go after Maduro. That's not the answer. I see people saying that. It's like, well, you know, how can you go after Maduro if you didn't do this? That's absurd. The answer to that, whether you have a problem with it or not, is not to leave in place someone who's been indicted.
No, it's not absurd because it's hypocritical. If you're saying Maduro is such this existential threat, right? And then you're pardoning someone who's known for smuggling over 500 tons, that's extremely hypocritical. That's extremely contradictory. If drugs are the issue, we need to be in Mexico right now, decimating the cartel. We need to be kidnapping the Mexican president right now, who happens to be Jewish. You know what I mean? Maybe that has something to do with why she's not being kidnapped. Maybe not. We should be kidnapping and holding Bibi Netanyahu to trial, right? As much as they want to say we're a nation of laws, Bibi Netanyahu has a warrant out for his arrest. Why won't we kidnap him and bring him in front of the U.S. justice system? He's presiding over one of the most disgusting genocides the world has ever known. Babies are being amputated, limbs amputated with no anesthesia. Most of the combatants that they say many of them have been women and children, right? This is someone who needs to be brought before the U.S. court and tried for war crimes. That would be a more effective use of our resources and military backing than invading Venezuela and saying that we're going to run Venezuela. But at least Trump is being open and honest about what this is. This is about regime change. This is about resource control. That's what this is about. Marco Rubio is trying to make it seem like this was just some benevolent act of heroism, but it wasn't. And if Maduro is a dictator, what is the U.S. for trying to dictate what Venezuela is going to be in the future? What do you call that? Dictatorship or authoritarianism? Is it a distinction without a difference?
Who hasn't even faced American justice yet, but now will.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I was referencing, obviously, the former.
Sir, whether you agree with that decision or not, people can disagree. I mean, there's people out there who make a living out of disagreeing with anything President Trump does. That doesn't mean you leave Maduro in place. That doesn't mean you don't go after Maduro. That's not the answer. I see people saying that. It's like, well, you know, how can you go after Maduro if you didn't do this? That's absurd. The answer to that, whether you have a problem with it or not, is not to leave in place someone who's been indicted, who hasn't even faced American justice yet, but now will.
Yeah, and you're.
So he says, focus, Maduro is harming people. Well, the U.S. government is harming his own people, jailing people. The U.S. government is jailing people, killing those people who speak. And he lost the election as well. Yeah, he lost the election in Venezuela. Last time I checked, America is not Venezuela. And this person says, as a soldier in the IDF, I can tell you all this is BS. Well, what is the BS, right? Are you guys not presiding over a genocide right now? Let me guess, you're going to say, but October 7th, allegedly there were what, 1,200 homicides? Now the IDF has presided over, the last time I checked, at least 80K, right? At least 80K. And that's the moderate number, right? So let's not act like you guys are over there just, holding hands and kissing babies. Actually, you guys are over there killing babies.
Absolutely right. I was referencing, obviously, the former president. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles told Vanity Fair that an attack on Venezuela's mainland would require approval from Congress. Why didn't that happen? And will it happen with any?
And, I'm kind of in a rush. So salute to the chat, Z Sarah, the lovely Z Sarah, and my bro, Big Rig Slaps in building.
Future action the administration plans to take in Venezuela or elsewhere.
This was not an action that required congressional approval. In fact, it couldn't require congressional approval because this was not an invasion. This is not an extended military operation. This is a very precise operation that involved a couple of hours of action. It was a very delicate operation too. It was one that required all these conditions to be in place at the right time in the right place. You couldn't afford leaks. We couldn't afford anything out there that would have endangered the mission and gotten people killed or killed off.
But we're a nation of laws, and he's trying to explain why he didn't follow the law and give an excuse as to why act that should have been approved by Congress. Oh, well, yeah, we couldn't get it approved by Congress, so it was illegal, right? This was an illegal strike. No other way around it.
The mission and the optionality. We didn't even know if the mission was going to happen. How can you notify something you're not even sure if it can happen? Because in order for it to happen, you needed to have weather conditions in place. He needed to be at the right place at the right time. We needed to have forces prepared to go. There were a lot of factors in place. It was a trigger-based operation. But you can't notify that, number one, because you don't even know if it's going to happen, if those conditions will ever align. And number two, you can't risk it being disclosed. But this was not an attack on Venezuela.
Yeah, and Jason says, I thought it was because of fentanyl. This is the George Bush version of WMDs. Instead of Cheney, we got Stephen Miller. Same horrible people, different decade. Yes, this is what it was, right? Remember, they were saying it was for WMDs, and some other people were saying the quiet part out loud and saying, nah, this was about oil destabilizing and eliminating one of Israel's staunchest enemies. That's all this is about. This is not about drugs. There's a bunch of drug dealing families in the U.S. that we can take out, i.e. the Sackler family. They're allowed to run amok, giving drugs to millions of people, but they're doing it in a legally governed, sanctioned way. So it's okay that they are drug dealers. So, yeah, this isn't about drugs. This is about regime change and resource control. Nothing more, nothing less.
This was a law enforcement function to capture an indicted drug trafficker. And of course, we needed the Department of War to support it because they do have anti-aircraft missiles that could shoot down those helicopters.
But
we had to take down radars. We had to take down those anti-air elements on the way in and on the way out. And that's what this was limited to.
But will you seek congressional approval for any further action in Venezuela or the region?
Well, we will seek congressional approval for actions that require congressional approval. But otherwise, they will get congressional notification. And this is not an operation that required congressional approval. In fact, this is an operation akin to what virtually every single president for the last 40 years has conducted. The difference is that when it's Donald Trump, all these Democrats go bonkers.
Is the Cuban government the Trump administration's next target, Mr. Secretary? Very quickly.
Well, the Cuban government is a huge problem. Yeah, the Cuban government is a huge problem. First of all,
is that a yes?
Cuba, but I don't think people fully appreciate. I think they're in a lot of trouble. Yes, I'm not going to talk to you about what our future steps are going to be and our policies are going to be right now in this regard. But I don't think it's any mystery that we are not big fans of the Cuban regime, who, by the way, are the ones that were propping up Maduro. His entire internal security force, his internal.
Remember, I said earlier, the crown jewel is Cuba. Venezuela is a consolation prize. They ultimately, the results that they're aiming for in Venezuela is what they truly want in Cuba: regime change and control of the resources. But they'll find a way to try to say, we're liberating them from communism or a dictator or anything. If a sovereign nation wants to be run by socialists, run by communists, run by atheists, let them live, right? This is what a democracy is, right? So if some of these people were democratically elected to be communists, let them be communists, right? If they say that the election wasn't free and fair, prove that it wasn't free and fair. All they're doing is making accusations and saying everyone knows this election was a sham. But you guys are saying that the U.S. elections are a sham. You haven't done anything to rectify the sham nature of U.S. elections, but you're over wagging your finger to another nation about how they should conduct their election process.
security apparatus is entirely controlled by Cubans. One of the untold stories here is how, in essence, you talk about colonization, because I think you said Dulce Rodriguez mentioned that the ones who have sort of colonized, at least inside the regime, are Cubans. It was Cubans that guarded Maduro. He was not guarded by Venezuelan bodyguards. He had Cuban bodyguards. In terms of their internal intelligence, who spies on who inside to make sure there are no traitors, those are all Cubans.
All right. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, thank you for joining us after an incredibly busy 48 hours. Really appreciate it.
Well, Street Beater says, ain't no resources in Cuba. They want the land. Well, the land would happen to be a resource. So yes, there are resources over there. And the most important resource are human resources. So we could never forget that. So I told you I wasn't going to be on here for a long time, but it will be a strong time. I appreciate all of y'all who viewed this concurrently and that will be watching this on the replay, gang. So in the chat, before I head out of here, let me know, how does this help America? Has this helped you? Has this put more food on your table? Has this put more money in your kids' college fund? Is this helping lowering insurance rates? How has this helped you? I'm extremely curious. I've been asking people. I haven't got a coherent answer, but somehow this is to make America great again. This is to make America safe again. But this sounds like more they're doing the bidding of plutocrats, of oligarchs, and of course, Israel loving Zionists. So let's see, I'm gonna read a couple comments and then I'm gonna get up out of here. It's not an indefinite situation. Some billionaires with legal authority will make sure Trump, the thief, doesn't make off too clean. Trump is a thief. Some say it's the best oil. I believe you're referring to Venezuelan's oil. They do say Venezuela has a very rich quality oil. And not only that, they have the most oil. So if you couple that with the quality and quantity, this is why Maduro was kidnapped. This is why we invaded Venezuela. And it said, thanks for letting stop by, put in my 2 cents. Yeah, no problem, Talisha. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully y'all like, share, and subscribe. I know I had a lot of haters in the chat, but hey, hater lives matter, troll lives matter. So we welcome trolls over here, as long as it's done in a constructive way. At least if you're going to troll, have some level of sophistication with your trolling. But for all the new people that came through, I definitely appreciate y'all. What happened to QAnon? I don't even know what happened to QAnon. Yeah. What happened to the Proud Boys? What happened to the Oath Keepers and Antifa? Where are they at? They only come around during certain election season. And also, where the hell are the No Kings protest people, right? They were protesting the end of DEI, right? No kings, no kings. It's like, and most of the people that was protesting the end of DEI was like, you guys benefited most from DEI, but this should be the No Kings protest right now. This is kind of kingly to do, to just go invade a sovereign nation. He says, Jews haven't taken a loss since 1946. You like, they undefeated since 1946. They slaying everything moving. Shout out to the Jews, the chosen ones, the undefeated, the untouchables. Democrats are mentally ill and stupid. Okay. I would say that the MAGA maniacs are mentally ill and even more stupid. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, so this doesn't offend me. I believe we all should be independent and both parties should be vying for your vote. It should be quid pro quo, just like it is with the oligarchs and the plutocrats. Something for something. Here, you want my vote? This vote is going to be in exchange for the tangible resources that you're putting forward. If there's no tangibles, then there's no vote. Or there may be a vote for a Green Party, a Libertarian Party. Some people may just vote the couch, or some people may just vote a sabotage vote. Somebody says Greasy Gavin, or like they call Gavin Newsom. Grandies, you must be probably from California. This person said the Libbies are crying. Libbies hate America. I mean, I think MAGA hates America as well. I think many of the people on the MAGA, they do hate America. What's happening to MAGA now? Turning Point USA infighting, Heritage Foundation falling apart, fail. You can't vote without voters registration, which requires ID. Y'all are brainwashing people. Who was y'all? Is Trump not brainwashing people? Did Biden not brainwash people? Did Bush not brainwash people? Are the Zionists not brainwashing people? Like, who is the y'all you're referring to? It's probably another distraction from the Epstein files. Bingo. No one is even thinking or talking about those files. Who are in those files? But then you also have to ask, right? They've had the files. There's millions of files. So there's hundreds, maybe thousands of names. Congress, both parties already have those names. So why have only 2 people been indicted? Ghislaine Maxwell, who's been treated with kid gloves. They've given her a beautiful dog. I'm sure she's eating filet mignon steak with bacon wrapped asparagus. Ghislaine Maxwell is being treated like she's just a royal prisoner. Epstein, y'all know how he met his demise. He allegedly offed himself, right? But what about all those other names in the Epstein files? See, they'll release pictures so that you speculate, oh, look, there's a picture of Michael Jackson. Oh, look, there's a picture of Bill Clinton. Oh, there's a picture of Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and Noam Chomsky, right? Those are pictures. Why won't they give us something more than the pictures? Why is nobody else being indicted, right? So the Democrats are playing these games that the Republicans don't want to release the files. It's like, wasn't Biden in office for 4 years and y'all didn't release anything? So yeah, both parties are playing these games because both parties are in there. Bill Clinton, a Democrat. I think they said Mark Zuckerberg was in there. He was a Democrat. Even if these people switch party allegiances, doesn't really matter. When Trump was hanging out with Epstein, he was a Democrat then. So it's really not about political affiliation. It's about the class and the upper echelons of society and how perverted they are, how disgusting and grotesque they are. That's what this is really about. That's what they're trying to preserve. And many maniacs are cheering this on. Yes, yes. He bombed Venezuela. Okay, you still haven't got the Epstein files, and those paddles are still running wild. We're a nation of laws, so shouldn't more people be locked up? Where are all the pro-life people, right? The pro-life pundits who care so much about babies, right? But they don't care about these teenage girls who many would consider a baby in the eyes of an adult. They don't care about them being fondled and penetrated and abused and objectified and whored out. They don't care about that. They will use Cuba to build prisons to relocate people incarcerated in the system. Yeah, I mean, like I said, many people are kind of advocating for a police state. Oh, Lotus Tie, the lovely Lotus Tie. I'm gonna have to put you in blue, the Lotus Tie. I'm probably gonna come back on a little bit later. I just popped in to do an impromptu stream. Want to tap in with the people. This has been a fruitful stream. I am ecstatic at the people that came through to support. Even the trolls, man. I appreciate the trolls too. Y'all make it a little bit more interesting because I can easily intellectually dismantle and debunk you. So salute to the troll. Troll lives do matter. Price of Chiquita bananas just went up 250%. Do they still have Chiquita bananas? Because they used to have those fire commercials. I mean, I think they were the only ones that had a commercial. Shout out to the Chiquita bananas. Okay, so I mean, I appreciate y'all coming. So I'm gonna get ready to wrap this thing up. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world. Y'all chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. And for that, I thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and hit y'all like this. Drop the Cash App right there. If you want to make a contribution, anything from $1 to $1 million will surely suffice. But, you know, if you in some financial hard times, don't worry. The likes are free. They won't cost you a fee. So go ahead, hit your boy with a like, a share, subscribe, and we going to keep coming back with more substantive content. If I had more time, I would drop the link so that you guys could come up and troll, or you can come up and chat. You know what I mean? But I'm going to play a couple visuals and then we're going to shut her down. But this has been a fruitful stream. I appreciate all the amazing people that came through watching this concurrently and on the replay, gang. But you know what time it is? Time for a like intermission. We kindly request that you show love to the channel's creator and platform by leaving a like, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest content. Liking posts is completely free and helps the algorithm boost our reach. We want to grow the community larger and larger. So thank you all who take the time to support us. It does mean the world to us and doesn't go unnoticed.
Saying, man, like Goku. Bad bitches at the house with me watching Netflix or Roku. Fuck them both at the same time, and I swear to God it was so cool. Street legend, real boss, I call shots cause I'm still saucy. I know some G's to the bike crack on Chirac and then fly back out to Millwall. When they hear me flow, they say I be burning up, burning up. Cookies to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. When you hear me flow, say I be burning up, burning up. Cookies to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up.
Yeah.